We've been powering the American road since before it was paved. Our first breakthrough in motor oil was introducing it. And we've been reinventing it ever since. From the world's first high-mileage oil to the world's first synthetic blend. There are those who change with the times, and those who drive them. Valvoline, the original motor oil.
The Falken Azenis RT660 is the enthusiast's choice for ultra-high performance. Engineered for predictable handling and stability, the RT660 provides maximum traction both on and off the track. Your competitive edge has arrived with the Falken Azenis RT660.
Hawk Performance packs 100 years of friction dynamics into every product. Backed by Carlisle Brake and Friction, the world's premier innovator of industrial brake and friction components, Hawk leverages R&D tools and motorsports experience to deliver uncompromising performance on the street. There's no reason to settle for less. Choose pads that are race-proven and street-legal. Find the Hawk Performance brake dealer near you at hawkperformance.com.
FCP Euro is here to help you keep your car on the trails, track, or tarmac after a weekend of thrashing at GRIDLIFE Alpine Horizon Festival. So from now until Saturday, July 31st, we're giving the GRIDLIFE friends and fam 10% off their first order at FCPEuro.com using the code Alpine at checkout. Thank you all for watching this weekend, and we hope to see you at the track next time around.
What about a pizza delivery?
Oh, okay.
Trash truck plows through the delivery bikes. Formula D driver is waiting for his pizza. Says he'll deliver them in his Supra.
How about Fast Freddy's Pizza?
Love that.
Okay, let's go. an altitude of 5,360 feet, Pikes Peak International Raceway is the highest venue on the GRIDLIFE schedule. Located about an hour south of Denver, this 1.3-mile 9-turn roval is the alternate configuration to the 1-mile oval that has hosted NASCAR and IndyCar at the turn of the century. This weekend, GRIDLIFE's Alpine Horizon Festival will host one of the largest events since the track last hosted the Indy Racing League in 2005. After nearly 2 years of waiting, music and motorsports come together again for a GRIDLIFE festival a mile high. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to GRIDLIFE Live. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Tom O'Gorman for an incredible weekend of racing, music, and motorsports. We got Drift, Time Attack, GLTC. Tom, welcome back to Falken, Colorado, and Pikes Peak International Raceway.
And the booth. I'm so excited to be here with you, Kyle. It's been way too long since we've been able to talk about GLTC together. That's, not in our apartment. But it didn't dawn on me that it's been so long since we've had one of these GRIDLIFE festivals. It just sunk in and gave me a little bit of chills.
I'm really excited to be back, and this is my second time to Pikes Peak International Raceway. First up this weekend is GRIDLIFE Touring Cup Qualifying in just a couple minutes. We've got a 15 or 16 car field here this weekend, which is up a couple from last year, so really excited to see. One of the things about this racetrack, Tom, is it's only 1.3 miles. Laps happen in just over a minute, so 16 cars is a lot of cars for a place like this. It gets congested pretty easily, and most of the track you're flat out, so the cars like Brian Heitcotter's Chris Forsberg Racing 370Z, Jeremy Swenson's Corvette, the big displacement cars, they're going to have a really good time climbing up on this banking and roaring down the front stretch.
You're taking a look down on the infield right now. If this is your first time tuning into a GRIDLIFE Live at Alpine Horizon Festival, yes, it's a roval. We go through NASCAR turns 1 and 2, but then we dive down into turn 3, which is at the bottom of your frame right there, and snake through the infield. There's a lot of curb hopping. It's a lot of drag racing between these corners, and what we've learned over the last 2 seasons is it races really, really well with these GRIDLIFE Touring Cup cars. And we also have a couple of drivers trying a little bit of a different spec than we've seen at other rounds, specifically for the altitude and for this style of circuit. So that'll be a lot of fun to talk about.
Yeah, so one of those drivers we already mentioned, Brian Heitcotter with that CFR 370Z. That car was built over a span about 3 weeks. It's got all these carbon fiber body panels. Well, they elected to take off their massive rear wing on that car this weekend. Tom, we're at 5,300 feet. Not a lot of air up here, and most of this track is going in a straight line anyway. You might as well take that aero off and utilize the low drag setup on that car.
Yeah, and you think maybe, oh, you want the aero for the banking. That's a really high-speed corner. It's over 100 miles an hour. It's almost flat out. You're going to want the downforce. Well, no. There's a lot of physics involved with the banking, stuff I didn't study in high school well enough. But, centrifugal force and all that. He doesn't need the wing on the banking nearly as much, and the rest of the track is almost second gear slow. I mean, it's really not a fast track in certain sections, even though it is pretty short. So it does have a little flavor of lime rock to it, a bit of the bull ring kind of swinging the rock around the string really fast, turning a lot of laps. We're going to turn many, many more laps this weekend than we do at any other round. Road America's 5 laps per race. Here it's closer to 15, but it's the same length race, and it turns into really cool racing.
It sure does, and again, we've got GLTC qualifying coming up in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere. There's a beautiful look at the racetrack. How about the weather, though, this weekend? Pretty toasty up here, 91 degrees Fahrenheit in the air. Track temp, just about 100 degrees, Tom. That's going to be significant, especially when you get down on this infield. You're just throwing the car into the corner and just scraping those tires across the surface. You can see how much rubber collects on the racing line through those little S's in there. It can get pretty greasy down there.
And that's before drifters have even gone on track. And I will say, I was just out on track doing a bit of coaching with another driver. I don't buy for a second that it's only 100 degrees on the track. It is so hot already. And that's just another unique challenge to work with. The track surface, I guarantee, is up north of 120, maybe over 130 degrees. These race tires are going to be taking a beating.
So if you've heard of Pikes Peak, well, the famous hill climb is not very far away from here. It's just about an hour to the top of the peak from where we are right here in Fountain, Colorado. One of my favorite facts about Fountain is back in the 1800s, there was a big train explosion. Some guys disconnected some rail cars that had explosives on them and left about a 50-foot hole in the ground in Fountain, and that's this place's claim to fame. So this little town just outside of Colorado Springs, but it's got a big history, at least in an explosive manner. But here this weekend, we've got this little bull ring of a racetrack, and it's a really cool place. You think of rovals like Daytona, like Charlotte. This is a unique one because it's so small, Tom.
Yeah, and hopefully we leave that explosive
let's leave it
record
outside the track.
in the past, yes. But right now we are watching kind of the finishing up of the HPDE session. So these are the novice drivers getting some of their first laps on the weekend. We do have HPDE, Drift, Time Attack, and what am I missing? HPD, Drift, Time Attack, and GLTC. for this weekend. So GLTC qualifying is still coming up.
Let's have a look here at Pikes Peak International Raceway here in Fountain, Colorado. The track layout, the Roval configuration, 1.3 miles, 9 turns, 5,360 feet of elevation. That's about 80 feet higher than a mile here. Longest straight is that backstretch from the exit of NASCAR 2 all the way to the infield, 1,343 feet. I don't really count the front straight as a straight, so I'm going to go with the backstretch portion there. Constructed back in 1997, was owned by International Speedway Corporation for a time. Operations reopened in 2008, and now it hosts GRIDLIFE's Alpine Horizon Festival. This is the 3rd year of this festival, and we've got an amazing music lineup this weekend, as well as Drift, GLTC, Time Attack, and HPDE, as you mentioned. So there's something here for everybody, and look at the views that we get here at Alpine Horizon, and indeed, there are mountains on the horizon, and they are really, really cool. I love the spectacle of this racetrack in particular.
That's the perfect word for it. This is the most spectacular looking racetrack we go to, and we go to some of the greatest racetracks in the country. Road America looks spectacular. Mid-Ohio, at least for me, it's my home track. It looks spectacular, but it doesn't look like this. This is so different from what we're used to in our core Midwest tracks. It's absolutely a blast to come out here, and we should probably also talk a little bit about what even GLTC is as we move into the qualifying session with novices pulling off the track.
So GRIDLIFE Touring Cup, of course, is a wheel-to-wheel racing series, just like the ones that you're familiar watching on TV. It's a power-to-weight class, so if you've got more power, you have to have more weight. If you add a wing or some sort of splitter, any kind of aerodynamic devices, you have to run more weight. So the whole idea, Tom, is to equalize a vast variety of different drivetrains and cars, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, big power, little power, basically everything. We've seen minivans, we've seen Miatas, we've seen Mustangs, everything in between races here in GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. It's a great series, but sprint races, Tom, 15 minutes. Go fast, go hard, because you got 15 minutes to get to the front.
And 4 of them. I mean, it's really like a Forza or Gran Turismo championship in a weekend. We race 4 times. You earn points for every single race that you do, and the person with the most points at the end of the weekend is the championship winner for that weekend. We also have season-long points. That's a little bit more complicated, but you're looking at the track right now that these 17 or so, 16 drivers will take to in racing competition this afternoon, but we got to qualify them first.
We sure do. Also, you'll notice on the top left of your screen, there is actually an off-road course up there that Toyota is sponsoring this weekend, and they've got some really cool TRD off-road trucks, Tacomas and 4Runners and all sorts of things. So that's going on up there, and I'm sure everyone's having a good time. At least they will a little bit later here in this weekend. Toyota's got some cars on display here as well. And for our pace cars, we've got the 2022 GR Supras here. That'll be our pace cars, so very excited about that. Personally, I'm very excited about the 86 that's down there as well, so anybody that's into the lightweight rear-wheel drive cars, they've got those. So Toyota, big partner here this weekend, so thanks for their support. Look at all the people here, too. We've got a whole bunch. This is the most people that look at the traffic here. You can see pulling into the racetrack. Yeah. This is going to be the most people that have ever been in one place at one time at any GRIDLIFE festival ever.
Really?
Yes.
That's amazing. I was kind of hearkening back to when you at the beginning of the broadcast when you said this is the first festival we've had in close to 2 years. That hadn't really clicked, but already, I mean, it's Friday morning essentially, and there's already there's a buzz in the paddock that just feels so exciting. This kind of view we haven't seen in so long. I know, as I mentioned, I was just on track driving to grid. It was a pain, and that's so cool because there's so many people here. You got to navigate your way through them, and that's the same when you go to a big race, a big pro race. We have that happening right here in the paddock, and it's just like the coolest feeling.
We've got something like just shy of 20 GLTC cars, about 70 time attack cars, and almost 80 drift cars here this weekend. A lot of drift happening. We'll have night shift drift tomorrow night at 9 o'clock p.m., so that's going to be real fun. We get lasers and smoke and chaos, and there's music, and it's going to be amazing. And make sure you tune in. Follow along on youtube.com/GRIDLIFE or on facebook.com/GRIDLIFE. To follow along for night shift and the rest of the streams here this weekend. We have 3 streams in morning, afternoon, and evening today and tomorrow, plus the night shift tomorrow night, so 7 total. There's the music stage. Lupe Fiasco, Flostradamus, Suicide Boys. It's going to be a great set tonight and tomorrow, so if you're not here, you missed out big time. This is going to be a good one.
It's not too late to catch a flight, right?
No, I'm not sure if there's any tickets left, though. That's the problem.
Just kidding. And you can see at the on the pit lane, the HPDE cars pulling off and the specs sitting still. That is grid for GRIDLIFE Touring Cup qualifying. And we should talk, you mentioned it's a little under 20 cars, but the depth of field has really not changed much. I mean, we have a lot of heavy hitters here in the 16 cars on the spreadsheet in front of us. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch, especially now that we've kind of gotten a little bit of a rhythm into the season. We've had, 4 rounds, I think. We kind of know who the names are, and it's going to be cool to see how that translates from track to track. This is pretty much the most unique track I think we come to.
I think qualifying here this weekend might be a little bit less important than usual because there's not quite as deep of a field in terms of numbers, but I think anyone that showed up here this weekend at Pikes Peak International Raceway has an advantage over everyone that didn't. The reason why? Because there's under 20 cars. All the cars down to 20th get points. So if you showed up this weekend, you're scoring points. Now, we come into the weekend with Aaron Lichty leading the points over Luke McGrew. Neither of those two are here. So drivers like Jeremy Swenson, Felipe Gonzalez, Brian Heitkotter, they're going to get massive points gains this weekend just for being here, especially if you can win a couple races.
And I know we at the ASM paddock were waffling up until the moment we left Wisconsin to bring a car or two, but we chose not to. We're focusing on the last 4 rounds of the season, but you know, we really were thinking those big picture championships, which this is year 3 of GLTC, and we're thinking about towing 16 hours across the country to earn championship points. I mean, we're getting pretty real here in GLTC.
All right, cars are on track now for GRIDLIFE Touring Cup qualifying. And there's Brian Heitkotter. The wing has gone back on that car. Now, that's a really interesting thing. I thought that he was going to run with wingless and use that slippery shape to go through the air quicker, but he's elected to go back to the wing. We'll see if he changes his mind about that. There's Stephen Cox out of Union City, Indiana, a 1999 Chevrolet Corvette. This car raced here last year and performed very, very well. So excited to see that big purple Corvette. That's Jeremy Swenson in a 2000 and I think that's also a 2001 Chevrolet Corvette, and he's actually the heaviest car in GLTC, I believe. So that car is or is it Austin Hurdle?
Probably Colton Wade, who is also out here. That is a E46 M3, and that car, as you mentioned, it's a power to weight class. So keep in mind as you're watching these 16 cars qualify, every single car has essentially the same power to weight ratio. Colton Wade is the second car in frame that was just coming there. It's a white BMW on the front. That car I think makes close to 270 horsepower and makes weight accordingly. So that's going to be well north of 3,000 pounds.
Glad to see Jeremy Boysen back with us in his 2002 Acura RSX, one of the Mugen chassis that has been around for quite some time and is one of the coolest looking cars out there. Glad to see him back as Stephen Cox rumbles off into turn number 3 here at the end of the back straightaway. They don't count NASCAR 2 as a corner, but as you come through this turn number 3 and shoot off into the infield section, this is a really tight, slow section here, Tom, but you also have to jump curbs. So if your car is very low, you're going to be scraping up that splitter, but it's worth it to jump those curbs.
Yeah, to give you an idea, these are second gear corners, right, maybe third if you have a pretty short gear ratio car. So a car with a lot of torque, we're looking at one right now, that's going to be really beneficial in the infield, but you still got to breathe on the straights, and we know Jeremy Swenson's car, once you dig off the corner, it may start to run out of steam just a little bit up high, so that might be an infield car more than a banking car where we'll have that flip to in a couple of other cars. You're looking at a pair of S2000s. Whoa, giant slide for, I think that was Justin Kelly leading Tiffany Kelly onto the front straightaway in that pair of Myriad Motorsports cars.
There's actually 4 Myriad Motorsports cars here this weekend, and 2 of them, Felipe Gonzalez and Jake Jornstad, had a lot of trouble getting here. Their rig had something catastrophic break in the engine on the way here up in North Dakota, I believe. They were able to get a friend with a similar hauler to load those cars on and bring them here. So they had quite the trouble to get here, but they are finally here as Swenson goes off into turn 3. See the car wobbling on the brakes a little bit. That transition off of the banking onto that infield, Tom, is that a rough transition at all?
It's a very mild bump, but it's definitely there, and you got to have the car pointed straight, and we can already start to see times coming in. We'll get the timing and scoring on your screen as early as we can, but the times are also live on the Race Hero app. Jeremy Swenson, provisional pole right now, 102.2. That's the purple Corvette on your screen, and that is 6/10 under the track record from last year, which Andy Smedegard held.
Yeah, so already in the 102s, that is fast, and especially considering the temperatures. We raced at night like two or three times last year, so we were racing in cooler temperatures. Already a 102, that's pretty impressive.
It's wild, and I think this will be the fastest session we run today. You see him cutting distance out of the front straightaway. Looks like he might actually be cooling the car down quite a bit. Yes, definitely off pace as we look out the window of the timing and scoring building. He's letting some people through. Second place right now, Brian Heitkotter, 3/10 back at a 102.5. Then Eric Jensen, who is a V8 swap. That's an LS-powered FRS. Just leaves your frame there, the black car. That is a 104.0. That's the top 3.
So you can see now the timing and scoring on the left-hand side of the screen. Big thanks to the stream team. I'm not sure if everyone caught the awesome FCP Euro Race HQ when we first came on live stream. It is awesome in here. This is the coolest place I've ever been able to commentate. Air conditioned, we got ferns. It's great. I love this.
I love that. Yeah, we got a lot of between the ferns jokes going already. Stephen Cox continuing to circulate as Jeremy Swenson is clearly on a cool down. I do need to go check with him whether he's running a street tire variant with tread or with a race tire variant with no tread. You can choose between the two and cut your weight down or up accordingly. accordingly. But the fact that he went that fast once and is already cooling down tells me he's on street tires and is probably done for qualifying right now. Brian Highcotter, however, improved last time through at a 102.4. Still second, but that's a 10th quicker.
Look at how close everybody is from third on back to ninth. Only a couple tenths separating those 6 drivers. That's really impressive. Short lap, there's not a lot of opportunity to really spread the field out. That's why I love watching the racing here. The drivers sometimes come away from here going, all right, this is not exactly the most exciting track in the world, but to watch the racing here is exhilarating. I think you're going to have a different perspective of it this year, watching it from above. The racing here is really good. Jorge Ortiz is back. This car spent some time getting some repairs. It was out at Autobahn Country Club. Sounded a little off, but he's back this week in that number 19 with a cool-looking wing on the back, too.
And I know that car's eventually getting a turbo. I don't think it has it now, but if it did, you could guarantee that would be a really, really good setup here at altitude. Those forced induction cars continue to make power at altitude where we don't have any in the field this weekend in GLTC, so you won't really see that play out in GLTC as much as time attack. But if you did have forced induction this weekend, you'd be a rocket ship.
Yeah, you basically lose about 3% of your power for every 1,000 feet you climb. So we're down quite a little bit of power from what you would be at normal sea level. So you're going to be lacking a lot of power. Your car is going to feel very slow, especially if you don't have either a lot of displacement or a big old turbo or supercharger on your car.
New provisional pole, Brian Highcotter, 101.8, puts nearly a half a second on Jeremy Swenson. That's about 4/10 actually. Joel Morrison also improving. That's a black and neon green Honda S2000 with, I think it's a K series swapped into that car. That car goes up to 3rd place with the 9 Lives Racing livery on it at a 103.5. Just ahead of Justin Kelly. Eric Jensen and Justin Kelly are almost tied there still for 4th and 5th.
So across the line now, there's Brian Highcotter off into the backstretch area again, diving onto the apron and into the infield section. And I'm curious to see if later tomorrow or tonight, I should say, when we go racing, if the temperatures cool down, do you think we could see, should I say, even sub 1 minute lap times? Is that potentially possible?
I think
it seems a little bit far. As Eric Jensen, I think he cut through. So as I say that, that's definitely not a valid.
You know, you just predicted the future, Kyle. That was amazing.
I'm really good, Tom.
Yeah.
Professional up here.
I really don't think there's enough time left in Brian Highcotter. This is a professional driver, essentially. He's got so much skill in that car. I don't think it's possible for them to drop another nearly 2 seconds. But the fact that they're already at a 101, I mean, that puts him 3rd overall in time attack. And there's some really, really serious time attack cars here. So GLTC continuing to swing way above its weight lap time-wise here.
For sure. So again, Eric Jensen with that 39.8. That was not a valid lap time. He probably just rolled through NASCAR 3 and 4. You will get your lap time thrown away for doing that. So Brian Highcotter stays on top. Eric Jensen's best real lap is a 103.957, puts him 5th quick. That is an LS swapped Scion FRS. He joined us back at NCM Motorsports Park back in April, and that car's been really competitive, and I think this weekend it'll be the most competitive it's ever been. You see a couple Myriad S2Ks going at it here in the infield.
So that's Tiffany Kelly with the black and red, and then just behind is either Jake Jornstad or Felipe Gonzalez. Do us a favor if they distinguish those cars a little bit differently more on the stream, but I got to look for the number and see who that is. We're getting held up a little bit by Tiffany trying to cool down.
Big slide there at the exit of the corner, and a little awkward here in the infield as drivers are trying to kind of figure out who's slowing down, who's going fast. But again, Jornstad and Felipe Gonzalez have identical liveries. I think they were going to wrap the wing end plates.
There you go.
But I haven't seen which car has gotten that or if they've done that yet.
Sure. Doesn't take much. So going back to the top, we have a V6, we have a V8, then a 4-cylinder K24, then a V6. Again, Justin Kelly, that's a J35 Honda motor in that FRS. Eric Jensen is another V8. Stephen Cox, another V8. Jeremy Boysen is the first front-wheel drive car. That's a 4-cylinder Acura RSX, as we pointed out. And we know from past events, specifically Eric Coutil last year, decided very early on that this is not a front-wheel drive friendly track, and I would tend to agree. It's a very flat, slow infield with lots of digs. So Jeremy Boysen may not have the best car for this facility, but he's certainly holding his own above the halfway point of the field.
I believe there's only 2 front-wheel drive cars here out of the 15 that are on track right now. So again, heavily rear-wheel drive focused. That is kind of par for the course. It seems like most GLTC cars are rear-wheel drive, but we do have the odd Civic here and there, the RSXs, that sort of thing. And you see with Boysen's RSX and Brian DeFries in the Civic, again representing the front-wheel drive category. I shouldn't say category, everyone's one class, but that drivetrain layout.
Yes, and it's interesting to me also that the front-wheel drive cars we do have, while they are a smaller percentage of the field, when we have the full field, most of them are towards the front. They're not slow. It's just that there aren't as many of them around. As especially this season, we've gone into a much bigger bore build. You know, we have a lot more Corvettes V8s coming in. We have a lot more 6-cylinders coming in. Whereas back in 2019, when we made a debut on this series, there was a lot of 4-cylinders. It was almost all four cylinders.
So a lot more variety in the engine department. There is Bill Griffin in his number 46 BMW, and glad to see him back all the way out from Illinois. That's a 330i. And we've seen this car in a variety of liveries over the years, and it is always sharp looking. And Ben Harisco has driven that car a couple times from Ultima Raceworks. And here's Bill right now climbing up onto the banking, currently 13th with a 107.609, trying to get another flyer in before the end of the session. It's across the line at 9 minutes in. And Bill does not improve this time, but this might be the start of a flying lap. Off into the banking, you're basically full throttle the second you climb out of turn 9 all the way to the braking zone for turn 3. And there's a big old bump over by the entrance tunnel, and it's kind of scary at speed time.
If you were watching closely, you just saw Bill Griffin's car hit that. The entire front axle pounds off the ground. The entire car oscillates for a couple of ups and downs, and then it finally settles back in. You're over 100 miles an hour when you hit that, and it is, I mean, it's no joke.
Whoa.
It's very serious. Bill Griffin hanging it out. Bill, drifting's later. Come on, man. It looks good.
Took it for a slide for sure at the exit at 3. And then into turn number 4 here at the far end of the racetrack. You can see the big old ramp in the center. We're going to go jumping later, I think. So keep your eye on the drift sessions and night shift.
Do you think we could race a drone versus a GLTC car and see who could win?
I think we could.
See Bill getting chased by the drone there.
Yeah.
The pilot's probably standing right above us on the roof.
I'm sure he is. We'll see if we can get him to chase somebody either right now or a little bit later in the day when we have our first race, which will be, I think, 4:20. So across the line, will Bill Griffin improve? It needs to be to 107.609 to go quicker. And across the line, it does not look like it's going to be an improvement for Bill, so he will stay P13. And we still have a couple minutes left in this session, and a lot of drivers went out early, but the track is pretty clear now. If you haven't run a ton, you might as well get back out there while there's clear track.
Yeah, it's still Brian Highcotter at the top, but we did see Jeremy Swenson come out for a reset. He went and cooled the car down. That's the purple car that was just entering pit lane, but he came back out. It looks a little stuck. He did another 102.4, so he's basically right at that 102.2, 102.4 range. There's a good look at Colton Wade. That's the heaviest car here this weekend that we were talking about. Tacks her up onto the front straightaway. That car making close to 270 wheel horsepower, but it is a big girl to make up for that power. Digs onto the front straightaway, comes across as he sits right now in the 12th spot at a 105.7. See if he improved at all.
I think he's going to stay there. He took a big chunk of curb in turn number 9. And the curbs here are a little different than you're used to seeing at some other racetracks that we go to. A lot of racetracks will have rippling in the curbing so that when you drive over them, they vibrate. And there are some exit curbs that do that, Tom. But the majority of the curbs here are wide and flat in terms of profile, but they're raised up pretty high. So if you get up on top, you're kind of two-wheeling. And there is time to be gained by kind of driving over those. But at the same time, when you're in a corner like 9, you lift those tires up off the ground. All of a sudden, you've got 2 tires working for you instead of 4, and that will sometimes slow you down.
Yeah, anytime the car goes airborne, you're introducing a level of unpredictability when it comes back down, and that's one of the cool features of this track is we'll watch Colton jump these curbs. Take a look at this BMW as he pounds over them. Every time the car leaves the air, just like that, bounces a couple of times. If you don't get the landing right, or if you don't have at least the car under control when it lands to be able to react to how it lands, things can get really crazy, and when we introduce the wheel-to-wheel aspect of race 1, 2, 3, and 4, it gets pretty exciting.
It sure does. Across the line for Colton Wade again. Here's Bill Griffin. Now we're chasing him through the infield here. Great work from Shepsta FPV up on the roof here. And good look. We could just fly right through his window. There's a window net in the way, but we'd like to give it a try. And chasing him through, and you can see the line and the big curbs here. And Bill taking a little bit less curb than Colton did. And in qualifying, I kind of like that idea, Tom. Kind of stay off the curbs, maybe kind of get your line. But how much aggression is required in qualifying, and is it saving you time to jump those curbs when you're just by yourself?
It does save you time. I would say the invert. You know, if you pound those curbs in the race and you make a big mistake, you're opening yourself up to a passing opportunity. Where here in qualifying, it's time attack. It's literally fastest lap counts. So if you blow it once, you just cool the car back down and you try again. There's a look at Joel Morrison, who is your 3rd place driver provisionally right now. That's a 4-cylinder S2000 with a 103.2. So he's a little over a second off the pole, but holding his own here at altitude with that little engine compared to the cars around him.
And expertly negotiating on the backside of the racetrack through the wigs and the wags back here, and then
car's nice and compliant.
It looks really good, doesn't it? And Joel has actually run, I think he's one of the 2 or 3 drivers that has run every single points round in the 2021 season, going all the way back to even when we were at NOLA last year. So he's run every single points round, and that counts. So if you show up to every race, Tom, it's pretty hard to do bad in the points. So especially when you're getting faster and faster every round, as Joel has been, he's really gotten this car dialed in nicely.
And he looks to be one of the drivers who's kind of just taken to this session and run every single lap. He started off in the 104s, has run that 103.2, but has consistently been continuing.
3 car. I always said 23, but it is the 23 of Jake Jorenstad, who is currently scored in 8th, 104.514. He climbs back up onto the banking to come across the line.
I'm going to go find the brightest tape I can and just slap it somewhere on one of those cars. I don't care whose it is, but...
Yeah, they're going to have to wear...
You're right, 23.
Yeah, it is Jorenstad across the line. No improvement for him that time. But again, this is, we had practice this morning and drivers were just sort of getting dialed in. But this is still, for a lot of drivers, once you run your quick lap, learn something. I mean, this is the only track time you're going to get before the race later today at 4:20 Mountain Time. So learn what you can right now. This is a new place for a lot of people. These cars have changed a lot since the last time they were here. So learn what you can. Try some things. It's a pretty straightforward track layout here, Tom, but there is some nuance, especially to how you attack the infield section. So figure it out now so you don't have to do it later.
Well, and the thing about a simple track is the more simple the track is, the more important it is to be super precise and be, you got to have your T's crossed, your I's dotted, or whatever the saying is. You have to be on top of it that much more versus a track that, it doesn't take, it takes some thought, some balls, whatever it is. You can usually be a little bit less precise, but here you got to be on top of it.
Wow, Jorenstad was really pushing at the exit of turn 4, almost took out the cones that are denoting the edge of the track limits at the exit of that corner.
All the way to the wall, onto the banking too. He's really on it.
And across the line, will he improve? Still a 104.514, his best of the day. Morrison also did not improve, but just learning right now. That's all they're doing. Stephen Cox is back out on track again as well. And there's only going to be a few more minutes left to put in your time. So if you're going to go out for one more run, you got to do it now.
A couple of drivers we haven't mentioned or even seen much on the screen. Tiffany Kelly, we saw out there. She sits 10th right now with a 104.7. But I remember, I think she qualified second once one of the races last year. So that car, it's a totally different car from last year. It's a V6 now. It was a 4-cylinder last year. They're probably still working out exactly how to get that car back to that pace, but that car's got a lot of potential. That's the 68 car down there in 10th. But Nick Steniford is a local, the 87 car. That's yet another S2000. It's a white one, and I don't know if he's still on track, but there certainly has a lot of track knowledge here. But that car sees a ton of track time. I think they're sharing it with some HPDE sessions. It sees time attack sessions sometimes. It sees GRIDLIFE, Touring Cup sometimes. So that car is well used and is... it's in the thick of it.
Stephen Cox pushed real wide at the exit of 9. You can see where the rubber goes all the way out to the edge of the wall. I imagine there's sort of a happy medium between hugging the inside at the exit of 9 and tracking all the way out to the wall. You can see, where the blend line, that the apron where the two lines converge. You're going to be crossing over that for sure, but how wide do you want to take that? Is there a lot of gain to be had from widening out that radius?
Well, that's always a question in driving on a track. You have so much space to use, and you always think, yeah, speed is always going to be the fastest way to get around the track. Well, no, that's not always true. Sometimes the shortest distance is the faster way. So it's finding that balance of using speed but using the shortest distance possible to get around the track. A car like Ferris Khartoumi may be all the way in time attack where that car has 1,000 horsepower or whatever it has. He can use all the space because the opportunity for speed is so high. These GLTC cars with 200 horsepower, maybe 220 for Stephen Cox as he tacks her up across turn 3, that is, it's not really worth using all of that space. So it's kind of finding the balance.
As you can see him actually using the curbs. As soon as he gets on it, the car hooks itself around the curbing as well. It's another way you can use it. Pushing wide again, understeer big time in 9. You can see the car kind of wiggle as he gets the power back down here onto the front straightaway. His best so far, a 104.132. Does he go quicker across the line? This time I think he had not improved. So again, he will stay in 6th. I think he was one of the last takers out there on the racetrack. So it looks like, for the most part, qualifying is, dare I say, complete, Tom. So our first live stream session of the weekend looks to be over.
Yeah, I think Stephen Cox is the last car on course, certainly on a cool down at this point. And to give you an idea, we mentioned the different power and weights. Stephen Cox's last lap was a 105.5 to his fast lap of a 104.1. We mentioned Joel Morrison continued to click off 103s for over 10 laps. So we're going to see certain cars leap out in front and come back. We're going to see certain cars be able to be super consistent, and that's the coolest part about racing in GLTC.
I call those comers and goers, right, Tom? You got drivers that will shoot out of a cannon right at the beginning of the race, but they're going to burn up their tires and fall to the back. We've seen that be a successful strategy for Jeremy Swenson in the past. We've also got the drivers that are more consistent. They're going to start, towards the middle to the back of the pack, and they're going to move their way forward as the others kind of reach that peak and fall off the cliff. So So I think we're going to see a really interesting race here later. And this is going to be a very different looking race than we've been used to seeing here, just because of the larger portion of the field being big displacement cars. I think the racing is going to be fundamentally very different than it was here last year, and I think that's an okay thing. I think we're going to see a really exciting race. Our first race today will be at 4:20 Mountain Time. That is going to be 6:20 Eastern if you're on the East Coast. We've got Time Attack coming up in just a couple of minutes. It'll be myself and Adam Nielsen from 1010's podcast joining me for that session, followed by Drift. And I think we've got Jared DeAnda and Paco Ibarra joining us for Drift later in the day. I'm not sure Jared's here yet, so I might be calling some Skiddy Boys today, which I'm really excited about. And there is Shepsta up on top of the tower that we're in right now. You can take a good look at where we're flying the drones from. But a beautiful day, partly cloudy skies, and let's have a look at a couple replays here from the session, and we've got probably a couple big moments that got saved, so we'll have a look at them here in just a second, Tom. And one of the new things that we've had on the broadcast, we had replays at Autobahn, and they were real cool. Caught some incredible moments in the races there. And how about Autobahn, by the way? That was a spectacular round. I will say, all of the past GLTC races are archived on the GRIDLIFE YouTube channel, and Autobahn specifically, just a home run. I mean, I've raced in series with televised races plenty of times before, and that was every bit as good of a broadcast, let alone as good of racing. I mean, it is the highest quality racing I've ever been able to take a part of, but the broadcast, I just watched it mind blown that we were able to pull off such an incredible quality broadcast. The way it captured everything was just spectacular. Just got no replays this time around, so we're going to have them for the races a little bit later today. As we have a look here at the, maybe, look at the back straightaway here at Pikes Peak International Raceway. We've got Time Attack coming up in just a couple minutes. We'll take a very short break, and we'll be right back. Thanks for watching. GRIDLIFE Touring Cup is brought to you by FCP Euro. Every part you buy is guaranteed for life. Falken Tire. Falken Tires. Competition-proven performance. MOMO, the official safety partner of GRIDLIFE. Hawk Brakes, race proven, street legal. And by Valvoline. Valvoline VR1, available at Advanced Auto Parts stores. Alpine Horizon is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Airlift Performance. Airlift Performance lets you get low and live your life on air. Check out all their newest products, including Builder Series shocks, threaded manifolds, and Flow Air Ride tanks at airliftperformance.com.
Hey, we still on this weekend for a little?
You know it. I'm in desperate need of some.
What about you, Jim?
No, my sister's getting the wedding. She's getting married, so.
When adventure calls, make sure you're ready to answer. STA-BIL 360 ethanol treatment is specifically formulated for year-round use, so your engines will be ready when you are. Ready, willing, stable.
The next generation of auto detailing is here, where simplicity meets performance. 303 graphene nanospray coating. Get a year of protection from a powerful graphene oxide formula. A formula that sends water flying off surfaces, keeping water spots at bay. Go beyond wax, beyond ceramic. Graphene nanospray coating from 303.
FCP Euro is here to help you keep your car on the trails, track, or tarmac after a weekend of thrashing at GRIDLIFE Alpine Horizon Festival. So from now until Saturday, July 31st, we're giving the GRIDLIFE friends and fam 10% off their first order at FCPEuro.com using the code Alpine at checkout. Thank you all for watching this weekend, and we hope to see you at the track next time around.
The Falken Azenis RT660 is the enthusiast choice for ultra-high performance. Engineered for predictable handling and stability, the RT660 provides maximum traction both on and off the track. Your competitive edge has arrived with the Falken Azenis RT660.
Welcome back to the Alpine Horizon Festival here at Pikes Peak, Colorado. This is the second session of the day, the time attack session for GRIDLIFE time attack, and I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Adam Nielsen, and this is Pikes Peak International Raceway, a 1.3 mile 9-turn roval that used to be a NASCAR and IRL track. Back in 2005, things kind of closed down. It was reopened in 2008. Now GRIDLIFE runs the biggest events of the year here, Adam. So welcome back.
Yeah.
Good to see you again after Autobahn. Some really great action there. We've got Group A out on the racetrack here for time attack.
Very excited to be back here again. It's my third year here. Made it to every single one of these so far.
Yeah, really excited to have you back here. We've got a really sizable time attack field. Have to see when the timing and scoring pops up here in a couple minutes what these guys are running. We've got a couple Club TR cars out there on the racetrack. We've also got the HP Tuners Track Addict Attack Dash that we'll hopefully see a little bit later today and follow along for a ride. So one of the things we talk about every time we come here, Adam, is this track is short. 1.3 miles,
short.
9 turns, lap times for the fastest cars, well under a minute.
Yeah. Couple of cars, I think 3 to 5 cars we saw earlier this morning dip into that sub-minute mark, which is absolutely flying around here.
So our best times from the morning were Ferris Khartoumi in his C6 Corvette. That car ran a 55.023. That's the best time of the day. Team Dangerous Enterprises, I would bet that's that GTR right there. 58.783 in that number 458. Alex Moss in the ASM Super K Adventures S2000. That car ran a 59.225. Those were the 3 cars under a minute.
Yeah. Sean Krebsbach I saw roll in earlier today. He has ran sub-minutes here before. I saw as I was walking up here that he's wrenching on the car right now, so I wouldn't expect to see him in this session. But I know he's capable of it. I know there's a few other cars that are very much capable of it this weekend.
There is Ben Thorne from Gears and Gasoline. If you're on YouTube and you follow car content, if you have not checked out Gears and Gasoline, I really recommend you do. They've got some amazing content.
Really fun to watch.
They've really stepped it up. Like the last couple months, not that they were subpar before, they were always making spectacular content, but as of late, some amazing build guides and buyer's guides for getting used cars. They're working on an MR2 right now. And of course, this Civic that Ben Thorne runs here, Valvoline livery. This is brand new for the weekend, and man, it's a sharp-looking car.
Yeah, our Club TR class points leader for the season thus far.
And Ben Thorne earlier today in that Club TR car ran a 103.440, which would have been a pretty decent qualifying time in GLTC. And when this Club TR class came out at the beginning of the year, a lot of people were talking how it's basically the GLTC time attack class. It's a very similar sort of pace that they're running, and very similar aero rules and that sort of thing. And I really like that Club TR allows you to run big aero on smaller displacement cars. It's a really cool class. It's been very competitive, and Ben Thorne and the Gears and Gasoline guys have been on it trying to make this car as competitive as possible.
Yeah.
And I think he's actually the quickest of the Club TR competitors so far this weekend.
Yes. Not a lot of Club TR cars here this weekend. My friend Ryan Seiler here as well. He's running Club TR this year. That's about it for the ones we've seen in previous events.
So there is Ferris Khartoumi. And
missing an end plate.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that's on purpose.
Well, so I can tell you that wing, he had some trouble with it in shipping. It got damaged. And I know when he showed up here yesterday, he didn't have that end plate on, and he had planned on making it and gluing it to the wing. So I know it was on their first session. Apparently the glue didn't hold.
Well, I've seen this following Jackie Ding and his YouTube channel when they were working on the aerodynamics for his TA90 Supra. How much force goes into those aerodynamic components? It's hard to mount them in a way where they're not going to break off. So I'm not sure that hot glue or Elmer's glue is going to get you very far.
Yeah. And that car is absolutely a shining example of how extreme aero can get in time attack.
So at the top of the board right now, it seems like Mike McGinnis in the track mod GTR, he's got the best time of his day so far, a 59.756.
There we go, another car into the 59s.
So that's our 4th car, sub 1 minute so far this weekend. Dewey in Boogeyman in the number 70 car. He's currently 2nd, just over a minute.
An improvement on his first time, though, for the first session.
Mike Forsyth in the 131, just about a 10th behind Dewey, and then Alex Moss back out there in the Super K Adventures ASM S2000, 101.786. There's the 437 car. That is Corey Ross in that BMW M3. Ran a 102.165 earlier. And right now, a 102.885 is the best he's done in this session. But climbing up onto the banking again, this is the power section of this racetrack. Adam, you're full throttle from the moment you exit turn 9 all the way around to essentially turn 3 again, unless you're guys like Ferris Khartoumi running, 850 horsepower, you're probably doing a lift.
Well more than that is capable of it. Who knows where he's at this weekend, but I'm certain the car is well more capable of that.
So up off of the banking at the exit of NASCAR 2, and then into the kink on the backstretch, come off the banking and then hard on the brakes into turn number 3. This is a left-hand corner that will take you into the infield section, which is fairly slow, 2nd or 3rd gear, depending on your gearing here, Adam, and then you're kind of jumping over curbs and doing chaotic bounces, and it's a really interesting racetrack to watch time attack cars because they've got all these aero devices that aren't doing you a whole lot of good at 50 miles an hour here in this infield section.
Yeah, and the infield section is surprisingly tight. I think a lot of the people I've talked to that were surprised at how much fun this track really is, despite being a roval, and those kind of having the reputation of not being the most fun tracks.
Looks like the driver that was at the top of the board had that time deleted, so that must have been a cut-through lap. Dewey DeWitt goes, well, he would go up to the quickest driver with that 1 minute .233. Ryan Dussex in the number 2, Unlimited Impreza, is currently in 5th place. Josh Hanger, I got to ride with him in that car here last year.
RX-7?
Yeah, R104-131. As he comes across the line, we'll see if he jumps up any. And that time through, he will not make an improvement.
That car weighs 1,900 pounds with driver. It makes 400 plus horse to the wheels.
Really? That's
so
crazy.
That car should be a rocket ship in a straight line.
Ferris Khartoumi. Best lap of the day, a 54.009, and I don't have the records in front of me.
Flying.
But I'll bet you that's pretty close to the track.
That's got to be really close to it.
Yeah, that car, if you've ever been to an IMSA race, you've seen the the C7 C7R or even the C8R, the way those cars thunder by. Khartoumi's Corvette does the exact same thing to your chest. It just rumbles. You put a bottle of water, it's shaking when he goes by. That thing is an epic raw time attack car, and a 54.0 is going to be a pretty hard time to beat. This is early in the weekend, so there's still lots of time for people to go quicker than that. But we're also going to have sessions later in the day where the track temperature cools off a little bit, and that should help. And for those that aren't familiar with that, essentially, tires like to be warm, but they don't like to be overheated, Adam. So when they get super hot, they get kind of greasy and slippery. And so throughout the day, especially as the temperature rises, you're going to be losing grip rather than gaining grip with warm tires.
Looks like we got a flag on the session for this one.
So looks like everyone's coming back into the pit lane. We'll have Group B coming up here just shortly. And Group A, man, Khartoumi is in his own zip code here this weekend so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is 4 seconds faster than the Team Dangerous Enterprises GTR ran in the first session of the day. That was not live streamed, so he's got a pretty good hold of Unlimited so far, I would say. There's the 55 car. That's Charles Miller running in street class, all-wheel drive with that Evo 9. Best time of his day so far, at least earlier, was a 103.586. And that was still going to be his best because he's done only a 104.0 in this session. So back here,
I have class records on.
Oh, yes, you do.
So,
what's our records for the?
So it looks to me like here the Unlimited class record held by Ben Johnson, a 58.8. Track modified class record, a 56.4, held by Ferris Khartoumi. So
he blew that by 2 seconds.
Yeah, and I think that might be the overall track record here as well. Looks like it is. Street modified class record, Alex Moss last year ran a 58.5.
Okay, he's about 7/10 off that so far this weekend.
Street GT held by Chris Bickford, a 101.9.
Okay, we haven't
seen a lot of Street GT class cars this weekend yet.
Nope. Ivonitz and Penn are in the Street GT category, but in the 104s at the moment.
Street class, Charles Miller with a 102.7. He's here this weekend.
Yep. He ran a 103.5 earlier, so he's about a second off of his best.
Getting close. And then Spec Fit with a 114.2.
All right,
Kevin Head.
All right, looks good. So we got our records known, and so Khartoumi is the only one to have smashed one so far this weekend. Look at the paddock.
The overall and the unlimited track records.
Look at the paddock, how full it is. That is a sight for sore eyes after the pandemic year and having everything kind of, everyone separated. And this is just a great looking paddock with everybody packed in
I
here.
spent some time parking last night, and what a mess.
So we're waiting for Time Attack Group B here at Alpine Horizon, the GRIDLIFE Festival here in Fountain, Colorado, Pikes Peak International Raceway. Again, I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Adam Nielsen. We've got drift coming up after this session. We're going to have some drift cars go around for some skids. We'll have 3 of those drift sessions today at the end of each broadcast. More Time Attack coming up later after our GLTC event, our first race of the day, which will be at 4:20 Mountain Time, 6:20 Eastern. And tomorrow night at about 9 o'clock p.m., we're going to have Night Shift Drift, Adam, which is lasers, smoke, drift cars, chaos. It's going to be great.
The best show.
For sure.
Did we lose it?
Back live here at Alpine Horizon for Group B here in Time Attack. Kyle Heyer alongside Adam Nielsen. Earlier today, the quickest driver in Group B was Rick Ansay in the number 332. That's a Street GT car. Audi RS3, a 105.426 was the best time that he ran earlier. Chris Lathrop in the Track Mod Mazda Speed 6 ran a 105.5, so should be pretty tight. Peter Granberg's out here as well with, is that a supercharged BRZ?
I don't remember what's under the hood.
It's got a spoolie boy in there.
It's
I don't know if
it's definitely boosted. I can't remember if it's super or turbocharged.
It's fast. He's out there on track already. There's an Alfa Romeo 4C out there as well. That is Corey Konachuk in the street class. His best time was a 106.1. I love those 4Cs. Those are cool looking cars.
Yeah, super cool. Very unique cars. All carbon fiber.
It is sort of a rare occurrence that a manufacturer will make a car in 2021 deliberately without power steering and focus on not necessarily engine power, but adding lightness, as they would say. And the 4C is a really good example of that. He's currently second. He's in the number 315 car. Konachuk. Peter Granberg quickest in the session so far, 105.960. And looks like we've got Alice Stern in the 355 car, currently scored in third place at 107.110, and that is a street Subaru STI. Dustin Williams is out here as well. If you follow either Dustin or TJ Hunt on YouTube, you'll recognize those names. Dustin Williams is here in a 2001 Honda S2000 big slide for the 736. That's Cody Smith in the Oldsmobile Cutlass. Whoa, man, he is definitely working that car out.
Getting after it.
He sure is. We followed this car in detail back at Autobahn Country Club a couple weeks ago. Really fun to watch, but it is struggling for rear grip right now. But going back to Dustin Williams, if you followed him on YouTube, he's got a whole bunch of followers and subscribers there. They do a lot of car-related content. I first found Dustin on TJ Hunt's YouTube channel and follow both of them now, and Dustin's out here. Glad to have him join us here this weekend. Currently 7th overall in this session, a 107.296. And he ran his best earlier was a 107.7, so he is improving. And he is in the track modified category here this week. I also see the elusive Focus RS in the background, which I believe is that Riemann in that. I think Riemann's here. Oh, it is Brad Riemann in the number 234. That's his Focus RS, running 107.212 earlier in the day. So we'll get eyes on him as well. But Peter Granberg is the quickest. There's also a 2020 Supra out there. If you notice it in the middle of your screen, let's follow the Supra here for a minute. And this is not a Jackie Ding Supra for once. This is not a Jackie Ding Supra. This is Austin Shipley running in Street GT in the number 669 car. His best time in this session of 107.599. And those Supras, when they came out, everyone was sort of hesitant about how they were going to perform. They're spectacular cars.
Done really well. We haven't seen those cars a lot in Street GT, but I think it's definitely got the ability to be a top contender.
We've just seen, especially with what PhD's been able to do with that car, we've just seen the upper limit of what they can do.
Yeah.
I mean, those internals on that engine are rock solid. The car is set up very, very well from factory, and with slight adjustments, you can make this thing and turn it into a real rocket ship. And they're cool looking too. I dig these things a lot.
I was really on the fence on the looks when they first came out, but the more I see them, the more I love them.
We've got a couple 2021 Supras that we'll have as pace cars provided by Toyota here this weekend. There's Brad Riemann in the 234 Focus RS. That again is a street all-wheel drive car. Talk to me about the Focus RS a little bit. That came out a couple years back. That was another very widely regarded car when it first came out.
Another car we don't really see a whole lot of in time attack competition, but I still think being a very capable car.
There is the 711. That is Kieran O'Callaghan running in Unlimited with his 240 SX. And good variety of cars here in Group B. There's a lot of good stuff out there.
One of the things I love about time attack is just the huge variety of things you'll see.
I mean, between the Supras and the STIs and Peter Granberg of the BRZ, then we've got S2000s, 240 SX, Focus RS, a lot of really cool different cars. The Cutlass of all things. I love that car.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done so much work to that car. It's such an impressive build.
And there is, we saw this car at Honda Meet a couple weeks ago. I got to get a look at the number on the side of this to remember what the name of this driver is, but this car passed me in turn 8 at Gingerman, and I was having a little mini panic when that happened, and I found out later that it was Tom O'Gorman driving it.
Oh, well, and, so he was just messing with you.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure if that's the same guy that I'm thinking of. 209, that's Dominic Tapia. It might be the same car. It might not be. There's enough people running blue Civic hatches around that it could,
it's hard to say.
Very well not be, but I'm going to look.
Getting up on that curb in there. So.
He's from Colorado Springs, so maybe
I think he's probably a local based on some of the stickers he's got on the side.
All right, well, one just like that blew by me.
Fair enough.
Anything that Tom drives usually blows right by me. But
and most people, I wouldn't feel bad about that for a minute.
No. I was also on a cool-down lap, so that made me feel a little bit better about it.
Still.
But
he'll probably pass you on his cool-down.
He certainly would. That's something he would do. There's Brad Riemann again. Focus RS, all-wheel drive. They got a drift mode in there.
Absolutely.
I want to see that thing out there on the drift skid.
I don't know why you wouldn't.
Well, we've got 80 drift cars. That's
yeah,
probably why.
Yeah,
we got enough of those.
The drift paddock is quite the sight this weekend. All kinds of crazy stuff out there.
So Riemann, you can see a lot of understeer there through turn 4, kind of hucking the car around. Maybe he's just trying to feel out the front end grip. Kind of a lot of angle in the steering there to try to get it to rotate. Big slide over the curbs. I just wonder what the front-rear split of that all-wheel drive system is.
I think that those are capable of kind of changing that on the fly, so it's hard to say.
I'd be interested, because all-wheel drive in a time attack car, we see that a lot with the unlimited class cars, and I think at certain levels of build it will help you. I think in some instances it can also hurt you depending on how the system is tuned.
I think as you kind of move up through the classes, the drivetrain layout becomes less and less a factor.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of our unlimited class records at a lot of the tracks we attend are held by front-wheel drive cars. So,
I mean, I guess if you put enough motor and aero on anything, it'll drive pretty good.
Yeah, and eventually it comes down to a point where all-wheel drive adds weight, and maybe that's not necessarily what you're after.
Right. So. Well, there goes the Supra by the BRZ. That, I think, is, if I could get a look at this, is that Daniel Walker?
He appears to have pulled a wing off of that car to maybe reduce some drag and see if he can get some top-end speed on the oval, or I'm not sure what he's going for there.
Yeah, again, we're at 5,300 feet of altitude here, so you're really lacking power, and anything that's not boosted, you lose so much power because there's less air, so there's less fuel. You get better fuel economy, which is a nice side effect, but you're still probably only getting 10 in most cars here when you're full throttle
I don't
around
think that's
the
what
oval.
you're worried
No,
about
I'm not sure that you're counting gallons out here by any stretch, but it is a nice side effect when you have to drive 16 hours to get out here.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's that 711 car again, Kieran O'Callaghan, the unlimited rear-wheel drive class. Interesting note about the wings. We've seen a couple drivers in GLTC, including Brian Heitkotter, try the car without a wing. Because this track is, all the twisty bits are at such a slow speed that the aero isn't really going to help you here.
It's less of a player for sure.
Right. So you almost wonder, is it more effective, on certain builds to pull the wing off? I think in some of the cars we're doing 150 on the banking, you're probably going to want it.
Right.
But not for the infield. I don't think it's going to do a whole lot of good here. So you might as well, make your car as slick as possible.
That makes a lot of sense, for sure.
That's the 423 car. That is Jeffrey Tattersall in the Club TR CRX. That's a 108.732 is his best time of the day.
Another local. So cool to see an old CRX like that, just out there putting in laps.
CRXs are great looking cars too.
I really like them.
There's something real classic about the way those cars are shaped. There's Cody Smith again in the Cutlass. Let's see if he's got the rear wheels tamed this time. I think he might be kind of on a warm up or cool down here. It doesn't look like he's going 10/10. Hey.
Heyo.
He might be gearing up for a flyer.
He's from Minnesota. He had quite the haul to get here, I would imagine, as well. So,
does he trailer this, or does he drive it all the way out here?
No, it's trailered.
Okay. Because that'd be awesome if he drove it out here.
That would be quite the sight to see getting past going down the interstate.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars that I've seen people drive to racetracks. No, Scott Robertson in GLTC drives that car. They just got a trailer, so they're going to finally put it on a trailer and bring it.
As much as I loved that was kind of Scott's thing, I think that's the right move.
I agree. There's timing and scoring back up. Still the 3:15 at the top of the board. That is looking down my list. That's Corey Kononchuk in the Alfa Romeo 4C, and that is his best time of the day, a 105.678. And there he is.
That is not a bad time. It's certainly nothing to shake a stick at, and what I can only imagine is a relatively stock car.
It looks pretty stock.
Based on its classing and just kind of the way it looks. It's,
Again, it's classed as a street car, so not a lot you can do to it. Got to have a full interior. And
a very respectful time.
Yeah, and it's not running super wide tires either. You can see the tires aren't, he's not running 315s on it or something.
I mean, class wouldn't allow it.
Right. So at corner exit, like bicycle tires on that thing almost.
Well, I mean, it's a very lightweight car. You can get away with some of that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And it got to be superbly well balanced with that mid-engine layout. And everything's carbon, no power steering.
Such special little cars.
Yeah, man, they're super cool. They're pretty rare. They don't see a lot of them around.
No, we have one back towards Midwest that we see occasionally at some of our events, but not a lot of them.
So continues to sit at the top of the board with a 105.678, quickest in Group B. They're actually kind of creeping in on the times at the tail end of Group A. They're definitely not too far off that group. Dustin Williams, a 107.296. I think I mentioned that was his best lap of the day. And there is the Supra again, driven by. Actually, there's two Supras out there. The 469 is on Enrique's in the Street GT class. There's two Street GT Supras, Shipley in the 669 and Rich Enriquez in the 469, and that is the 669. That is Shipley.
Got a PhD racing sticker on there. Must be at some level supported by Jackie and his crew.
Yep, and you mentioned that they took the wing off that car.
Yeah, now that I know he's in Street GT, that's probably what it is. Because that would have been an illegal modification in Street GT.
So you got to pull that off.
Pull that wing off.
Someone must have radioed, hey, get that off the car. That's not good.
Yeah.
That's probably why. I think we saw someone's time go in earlier and got removed, and we could have seen something similar happen where noticed the car was illegal. They had him come on down and pull the wing off. So pretty good takers in this session. We've had 21 drivers record times, the quickest of which is still Kononchuk at the top with the 105.678. Slowest Nathan Jones in Street, the 110.1.
Pretty tight spread there.
Yeah,
honestly.
Jackson Jensen is fourth quick And Jackson is running a Club TR Honda S2000. And you're going to see a similar last name in GLTC. There was Eric Jensen. They run a LS-swapped FRS. That's a father and son duo, Jackson being the son, running in Club TR with an S2000. And Eric being the father.
Yeah.
I think they're from Texas,
They
if I
are.
recall correctly.
Yep. Cool to see that father-son racing dynamic. I love the family.
What better way to
aspect of it.
bond? To go to a racetrack with your
absolutely.
dad?
Yeah, I grew up at racetracks with my family pretty much my entire life, and that's something that I really enjoy seeing.
Really great. And we've seen that kind of a lot, actually, father, son, and
Yeah,
brothers,
absolutely.
and, you know, brother-sister combos we've seen before as well. So really good. It's a great event, especially out here. If you're not from here, this is a great vacation spot, actually. Colorado Springs area.
I've been here for a few extra days. I brought my family, and we did some of the touristy vacation things ourselves. So.
Yeah, my plan was to head up to the top of Pikes Peak on Sunday night. I was going to hope to get up there with the FRS and go a little sightseeing. I think that the actual top is closed off.
Oh, is it still?
I think, but I'm going to go up as high as I can go before my car stops moving.
Yeah, we didn't make it up the mountain yet. We did Cave of the Winds and some other stuff like that. We haven't made it up the mountain yet, though. We may on Sunday before heading home as well, though.
Paddock looks great, buzzing with crowds here again. This is the largest event that GRIDLIFE has hosted in terms of people on site in almost 2 years.
Almost, yeah.
This is really exciting to have everybody back out. Third year of the Alpine Horizon Festival. And again, music kicks off tonight. I think 5 o'clock is the first set of the weekend. But it's got that electric feel down there in the paddock, and I think everyone at home will feel that when we show Night Shift Drift tomorrow night. I think everyone will get a real sense of what it's like. Look at that! How about that?
Oh my gosh, 130 degree track temperatures.
Toasty, man.
So the fact that we saw some times fall in both of these sessions with the track temp like that is really impressive.
For sure. We haven't really seen a lot of drivers improve deep into a run. It looks like Corey Kononchuk in that 4C did run his best lap on lap 5, but about half the drivers on the list in front of me ran their best lap on either lap 1 or lap 2. A couple other exceptions to that. Rich Enriquez in the Supra ran his best at lap 8 of his session.
Pretty late.
Off of the distance, you can see Pikes Peak. Great shots here from the stream team as we look down on this 1.3 mile 9-turn roval in Fountain, Colorado, just about an hour south of Denver. And I drove all the way out here from Chicago just to kind of do the road trip, and I'm not sure I'd do it again. But it's,
come on.
I mean, just because it was, you know, I had the option to fly.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to do it once just to say I did it. But you can see Toyota's down there. We got Toyota's Supras for pace cars. FCP Euro is here. Glad to have them on site with us. We've got Vaughn Gittin Jr.'s here this weekend as well. We've got TJ Hunt, Dustin Williams, as we mentioned earlier, and a whole bunch of others.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance much to walk through the paddock. We've been thrashing on a friend's car all weekend, and I don't think we're going to see it in Group C either. So he hasn't been able to put a time on the board yet.
Gotcha. Look at that. I love that. That's a classic, you know, turn 4 shot. The tire scrubbing on the wall. That's at the exit of NASCAR 4. We just kind of clip the exit of the 4th corner here. We kind of skip NASCAR 3 and 4 because of the infield section here. There is also a configuration of this racetrack where you do a little chicane right here in the middle of your screen. You kind of pull down onto the apron to slow you down for the turn 1 and 2 area. There's a real nasty bump in the center 1 and 2.
So it was mentioned today in the drivers' meeting that PPR has never had an accident caused by that gap or by the dip, but it definitely catches a lot of people off guard.
It does, and I rode here last year, as I mentioned, in Josh Hanger's RX-7, and you're going through turn 1, you're doing 100 miles an hour, and you kind of see it a little bit, and then you hit it, and it just compresses your spine into your seat. It's pretty alarming, but it doesn't really upset the car all that much. I would just be mostly concerned about parts failures over that, so make sure everything's bolted down tight. And
especially with these time attack cars.
So just watch your here's a highlights reel from earlier. There is Cody Smith again, the 736. Watch this big slide at the exit of turn 4, hanging that car sideways, getting after it.
Amazing.
That's so cool. He's having the most fun.
Yeah.
Through the infield section here. And he had another big moment right here on the left-hander. Got the curb and almost oversteered to the left, which is kind of a scary spot to get sideways.
Great driving, holding on to that. So.
Yeah. There's Brad Riemann getting after it on the curbs. You can see the car really working those front wheels. There's a CRX getting after it on the curbs. I love the curb jump shots here.
Just loving the curbing.
Yeah, you get airborne, and it's fun to do. It's fun to watch.
Absolutely.
It's fun to drive. So Group B complete here at Alpine Horizon. We got Group C coming up here shortly. And looking at the times from earlier today, the best time was a Club TR CRX SI. That was Seth Confer with a 1:10.139. And a relatively small group. It'll only be 15 cars or thereabouts. Mostly Club TR, some Street, and some Sunday Cup intermixed in here. And I always say, Adam, if you want to have the most fun on the smallest budget, the only answer is Sunday Cup. You just go buy yourself a Fit, you're good to go.
Yeah. I have to take this opportunity to encourage anybody who's Sunday Cup legal and not in a Fit, please come and race. So, not that I don't like Hondas or Fit specifically,
but
I just like variety.
Fiestas work, Mazda 2s we've seen.
Mini Coopers. I think non-turbo Velosters would probably fit in that class.
For sure.
Kia Rios. There's quite a large group of cars that would fit in that class, but we just don't see them. It's mostly Fits.
Yeah, and you can run a lot of different cars. If you want to check out the rule, oh boy, if you want to check out the rule set, you go to GRID.life and learn more about how to join in Sunday Cup. It is probably the most approachable class.
Absolutely.
If your car doesn't fit directly into Sunday Cup, take a look at Club TR because it's not that much further up the chain.
Street, Club TR, both of those classes pretty easy to get into.
Yeah, and once you get into GRIDLIFE, it's hard to get out. It is an addiction for sure. I ended up here somehow. They dragged me in.
Yeah, I've never been on track with GRIDLIFE, and I seem to make it to almost every single one of them. So.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You got to do that at some point.
I know. I got to get a car that runs first.
Yeah. Well, I have one right now that works, but I'm worried if I take it on track too many more times, it's not going to work.
Well, you got to get home too. So.
Yeah, that's true. I thought about that because I have a 2013 Scion FRS, and I brought it out here to do the road trip piece and do the climb up the mountain. But I thought about doing a lap or two, and I was like, if I break something.
I mean, a lap or two is one thing. That'd probably be all right.
Yeah.
But, trying to run full sessions and get like a full HPDE weekend in.
I don't have an oil cooler either.
With a 16-hour drive home, it's
not wise.
Yeah, even in a relatively stock car, it's
also doing
trouble.
Nearly triple digits on banking with a concrete wall when you still have a payment on a car. Probably not the wisest thing.
Yeah,
either.
Yeah, one of the things that scares me for sure.
So
there's a lot of wall to hit here.
Oh yeah, it strings around the entire 1 mile D-shaped oval. I mentioned that this track used to host NASCAR and IndyCar back when it was the Indy Racing League. The last event they had here was 2005. And up in the grandstands across the front straightaway from where we're sitting, there's basically empty rooms that have posters from 2005, 2006 IndyCar. It is, I mean,
that's cool.
I don't think you're supposed to go in there, I hear that they have those things for a track of this scale. It's a 1 mile oval, so for reference, people that are NASCAR fans or know Dover, Delaware. Dover's got a lot more banking, but Dover is similar in size. New Hampshire Motor Speedway as well. I think North Wilkesboro is pretty close, or North Wilkesboro is a little smaller. I'm thinking of Rockingham is pretty close in size. So for NASCAR fans, give you an idea. And as we move on into Group C, that is a pretty wild car. Was that the Audi RS3 that was supposed to be running in?
I don't think so, because I believe that RS3 was a street GT car. That very much is not.
Okay, that's what is that?
I think that's basically a TCR car. From the looks of it, I've looked over it before.
I think you're right. It is a TCR car. It literally is a TCR
Yeah,
car.
I think there's been some modifications to it, but I think it's pretty much a TCR car.
All right. I don't have that. It didn't run laps earlier. I'm curious to see if I have it in my list, because I want to know who's driving the TCR car.
So they have been here before, and I think maybe even at a few other of our GRIDLIFE events. But I remember seeing that car both last year and the year before.
Is that the 303 car?
Yes.
So that would be Alex England out of Parker, Colorado. And, that's an unlimited class car. And that is essentially what you'd see in what was PWC, or then, TC America.
Yep.
Or currently in IMSA's Michelin Pilot Challenge. That's a pretty wild car. So make about 350 horsepower, turbocharged. DSG transmissions, I believe. I'm not sure if it's the DSG or the sequential.
I'm not sure either.
There's two versions of that car.
I know that car has a lot of stickers for Blue Water Performance and some other Volkswagen related brand. So I'm not sure if it's like a shop car or if it's like a legit TCR car or a reproduction. It very much looks the business.
It certainly, I mean, it's got all the body panels if it's not a TCR car.
Yeah.
Actually, it'd be good. We got to find Tom O'Gorman and have us and have him take a look at it for us, because he actually drove and won in an Audi RS3 TCR car.
There you go.
A couple of times, twice, Road Atlanta and VIR in 2018. So he's intimately familiar with those chassis.
Cool. So
TTRS, 246 car.
I'm not sure if it's an RS or just a standard TT, but either way,
might just be a
car I have a real weakness for.
Yeah, I think it's Abe also has a weakness for these cars.
I owned a first-gen one, and it was nothing but terrible to me, and I still would kind of like another one.
It is a TTRS, in fact, all-wheel drive. It's an unlimited classed car.
Caged car I saw earlier this weekend. So
really?
Very much a serious build.
Well, it's pretty quick, a 105.1, his best time of the session so far. And a couple of the drivers already making laps around here. 18 drivers on track, including Pete Lindbergh in the 969, one of those drivers that is running. He's actually in the blue fit just in front of the Audi here. And Pete's one of our grid staff and runs in Sunday Cup, and he has the best time.
Yeah.
I actually owe him a big thank you. He took my mom out for a ride at Autobahn Country Club in the passenger seat, and she had a blast.
I'm sure. Those are good cars to give passengers rides in. Especially newer people who aren't real used to the racetrack. That's not quite as intimidating as something that's a little faster. So,
I always tell people, if you have a buddy that runs in DE, especially at the advanced level, get in a car and feel what it feels like. Because if you've never been in a car at speed, I don't think it's hard to convey how much more cars are capable of than most people realize.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even in something like a Fit. I mean, you look at that car on a highway and you go, okay, it's a slow Honda.
Yeah.
You get in it.
Commuter car.
Man, I mean, it's not fast, but wow. It can feel fast, especially in the corners.
Yeah. I rode with Matt Williams a few years ago at Autobahn in his Fit, and it's an interesting ride. So, looks to be Sean Krebs back out there. Glad to see him back and in action. I know that car is very capable of some incredibly fast times, and what an alien of a driver.
Yeah, we've seen him in the past as well, so he's not new to Grid Life by any stretch, so good to have him back here at the Alpine Horizon Festival.
A lap record holder at a few tracks in the Street Mod class.
There's a handful more cars out in this session than there was in the morning session, which is always good to see. There was only 15 that logged times in the morning session, and currently I think we've got 19 out on track, including the 965 car who we're looking at right now. I don't think, it's Jared Thompson in the track mod front-wheel drive Volkswagen as he comes across the line, and his best time so far, 107.5, and he will not improve that time. That's a 108.0 for him this time through. Alex England just went out and ran 3 laps, ran his best of the day, and I think he pulled off, or actually there he is right there, right in front of me. Still running laps right now. And
what a cool looking car.
It is. I mean, again, if that is not a real TCR car, that is awful close to being one. I mean, they've done everything.
I'm not sure that the fender cutouts.
It looks a little.
I think those are a little more aggressive than what I've seen on. So I'm not sure. It's hard to say.
Well, we're gonna have to get someone down there and ask him, because I certainly don't know. But as he works his way onto the banking here at Pikes Peak International Raceway, he'll climb up on here again. You basically, in almost every car here, you're going to be full throttle from the exit of 9 all the way to the entrance of turn 3.
Yeah.
Then you jam on the brakes, second gear for most cars, into the infield section. And then you're just jumping curbs and trying to straight line it the best you can. So it's not a super technical track. So even if your car is set up to change direction really, really well, I'm not sure it matters a ton here.
Right.
I think just getting the basics right of the acceleration, the braking, and picking a good line on the banking. I mean, that I think is where most of your time is going to come from.
Absolutely.
So
the banking is scary. It's a commitment level.
Yeah, it's enough. It's 10 degrees or thereabouts, which is more than a lot of short oval racetracks that you're probably used to seeing at your local town. But it really feels like a lot. It's not quite a story from the bottom to the top of the banking, but you get up onto it and it's significant enough. At speed, you probably want a couple more degrees. Especially if you're on those unlimited cars.
Yeah.
But it's still wild enough that it really gives you the experience of climbing up onto a oval banking, and not quite Daytona, but it's
No.
still pretty cool.
My closest track to where I live, Iowa Speedway, we have a lot of banking on that. That's what a wild track.
Can't remember what Iowa Speedway's banking is.
It's super steep.
Well, let's find out. I actually passed it on the way here.
Yeah. Drove right by my house, basically.
Oh, interesting. It is progressively banked from 12 to 14 degrees. So 12 degrees at the bottom of the racetrack, 14 up by the wall. So that's a good bit more, 4 degrees more than what we've got here.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Standing on it is kind of a trip.
That's why I always am so impressed when you watch NASCAR something at Talladega that got 33 degrees of banking. Like, you have to act like if you're in like a safety truck, you have to actually be moving faster than 70 or 80 miles an hour to just not just slide down the track.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So there's Josh again in the 246 TTRS. Unlimited cars at the top of the order right now. Then Mike Coons in the street all-wheel drive car in the 310 running in third. Then a track mod car, Jared Thompson in fourth. Seth Confer and Club TR in fifth. Alan Lehman in the street car running in the 434 car in sixth. And Alan is in a Acura TL. Which is a car we've seen in a couple different parts of Grid Life. We've got one that had run in GLTC. It's Gordon Makalevich that runs that car. That ran at Blackhawk Farms. I think he's shooting for Road America again. But
we haven't seen that car in a while.
Yeah, it's been a little while. He did run it at Blackhawk, and I think he plans to run it again at Road America. But we see TSXs here and there, but TLs are a little harder to find on track.
Bigger cars. They're not small.
No, but you give these time attack guys a car and you tell them to make it fast, and they'll pretty much do whatever it takes to get it that way.
It's kind of a Grid Life specialty.
Sort of. There's Juan Johnson, the 142. That's a Club TR Honda S2000. Big moment at the exit of turn 9. Yeah, he's getting after it for sure. And again, that corner, that radius is pretty tight, and Tom and I talked about it earlier. If you keep that radius real tight, you get back to the power. Pretty easy to loop it, or loop the car, spin it out. If you climb up onto the banking, it's a little easier to control the car, get on power sooner, but you're going a longer way around, so you're going to give up some time there. And Juan Johnson right now 7th, a 110.387, his best of the day.
If I remember correctly, our first year here in 2019, he was a beginner. And he's moved up through the ranks and now competing in time attack, which I think is super cool.
Really cool. I mean, that's what I love about Grid Life, right? Is you show up doing the beginner program here. You got, you've got guys like Ed CZ. You've got, John Raymond that's now helping out on our instructor team, and a whole bunch of instructors, Ryan Christoph, that'll help you kind of work from never been on a racetrack before to moderately proficient, and then you can move up the levels and into intermediate, advanced HPDE, and then once you're there, next logical level is to get into competition with time attack, Adam.
Yeah. It's great to have that ladder. And there's been lots of people that I've seen climb from the beginner all the way into being real competitors. So really cool.
And you can do the same with your car too, right? I mean, it depends on what you have, but you could start out with a street class car, and then as you learn more about it, as you learn the limits of the car, add wings and break things, add wings and bigger brakes and bigger tires, and step yourself up in the classifications. And when you run at a competition, just move up a class and try to beat them there.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is a WRX STI. That's one of the newer generation STIs. And that is that Brewer in the 219? I would bet that it is. Didn't get a good look at the number. There's the CRX. This is the CRX SI, I believe, that we saw earlier. Yes, it is the 410. Seth Confer. He was the quickest in Group C in the first session of the day, around a 110.139. So that's the time he wants to beat. And he already did. You're on a 109. 109.967 was the best time that he's run today. And across the line, he has not gone quicker that time through. So 10 minutes into Group C here. We've got Drift coming up next, so don't go anywhere. But I've been pleasantly surprised with the speeds carried throughout these sessions. We've seen the top parts of each group essentially be pretty close on times.
Yeah.
I mean, Alex England's time of 103.894, that would, in terms of where he would be in Group A, that would put him basically 10th or 11th in Group A. So
we'll see him in Group A next session.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I'm sure he'll be stepped up there. But even Josh in the 246, a 105, that would put him in the middle at the top of Group B also. So we're gonna probably see some shuffling.
Absolutely.
As drivers kind of find out the limits of their cars.
Or even just getting their first sessions.
That's true.
I know there were a lot of cars that missed the first session this morning for one reason or another. So
And they'll put you in Group C, kind of figure out where you have to be, then boot you to wherever you should be.
Yep.
So that you're not, doing circles around fits or being in everyone's way, depending on which side of the aisle you're on. But
yeah.
Big wide exit there at turn 9. The pit entry is on driver's left there, so there's a lot of different lines that you could take, but I really like the Roval configuration for the pit entry and pit exit because there's a lot of room to do both of those things, to get on and off of pit lane. Rick Ansay goes quicker in his Street GT car, the 332. That is his best of the session, a 106.069. And Rick is at a Highlands Ranch, Colorado in a 2017 Audi RS3, running in the Street GT category, so 106.069 I think is his best of the day. I'm not sure that we saw him earlier, so I think that would be his best by default.
Yeah, fair enough.
Busy track also. Traffic has got to be a real challenge here, Adam.
There's a lot of cars in a relatively small amount of space. I was surprised that we were going with 20 to 25 cars per session.
Yeah, we have 16 in GLTC, and that's a lot for the track at one time.
Yeah.
Especially in time attack when you've got varying speeds of cars. You've got the unlimited cars and the Street Club TR cars that are down the scales a little bit. You put them all on the racetrack together. There's one line through the S's here.
Yeah.
You can't go side by side unless one of you wants to cut the racetrack. So tricky.
I just about guarantee we'll see somebody side by side through there nonetheless.
We'll see it. See some fist shaking.
Yeah.
At some point when things get real serious. Also, I didn't check my list, but I didn't see Jackie Ding on it. So PhD with Jackie not showing up?
No Jackie Ding and company this weekend.
That is surprising.
I heard possibly that he's in Texas at another event or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, no Jackie Ding. Couple of cars that I was hoping to see, not here, but a few heavy hitters that I wasn't sure we'd see that are here. So still a really good time attack lineup this weekend.
Yeah, my list, I know I'm short a couple people, but I have just about 60 time attack cars here. I think there's a few more than that.
Yes.
I'm a little short.
There is 75 sold tickets.
That's a whole bunch. There's the 411 car. That's the Hard Times Fit, going after it through the infield there, really attacking. I don't know. I really like this Roval config, Adam. I think it races really well with GLTC, but
it does really well.
I just like that it's so different from everything else that we do. I mean, almost every other racetrack we run at, is a traditional road course where you've got long straights, flowing corners, some hairpins, and that sort of thing. But this is such a different layout that I really think it creates a different environment for the time attack field. One thing,
Teslas,
and that's interesting because they're good here.
Yeah, they did really well here last year. Not elevation affected nearly as much as other cars. I mean, cooling still potentially being an issue, but definitely not a power problem. So this is a good place for them to really shine.
We saw Drew Cleaver here last year and was running very competitive times. And as you mentioned, not altitude affected. The higher you get, the less air there is. Less air, less fuel, less power.
Yeah.
But with an electric car, it's all chemically stored energy, so you don't rely on the air pressure to help you out. So you're not affected by altitude at all. Again, overheating is an issue.
Still a real problem, but a problem that everybody's fighting.
Right.
So, not putting you at a disadvantage.
No.
Specifically.
I think the only other thing that they have to contend with is getting out of their own way, just because they tend to be heavier cars.
Right.
North of 4,500 pounds, most of them.
Insane.
Which, as battery technology improves, we'll see those weights drop, and that'll be, crazy interesting. But, battery technology, as the sport moves forward of time attack and for wheel to wheel, I'm really curious to see when we'll ever have our first Tesla in GLTC, because the way the rules are written there, that'd be a really interesting car.
Well, they are specifically outlawed in the rule system now.
But for how long is the question, right?
Well, I've bothered Adam Jabay about that already myself. So
I was talking with Tom O'Gorman, and he had mentioned he would love to be the first guy to have a Tesla in GLTC.
I think it'd be cool. I don't know. Pikes Peak Hill Climb, the electric cars, they've really been well taken too. This year, the fastest car, a Tesla Model S. So, there's a lot of Teslas around here. I'm kind of surprised we don't have one this year.
I think we're going to see more and more electric cars. I mean, this is happening across the board with consumer cars moving away from traditional internal combustion engines, for better or for worse. Right? There's some people that would argue the scaling of the infrastructure around it is going to be a short-term challenge, and I agree that that's probably an issue. But when you have more affordable electric cars, it's going to be pretty hard to ignore those things. I think there was a rumor about Subaru and Toyota working together to make some SUV that's going to be all electric. But as soon as you get those mass market cheaper alternatives out to the more expensive Teslas and that sort of thing, you're going to see more and more of them pop up at racetracks, and they're going to start filling out time attack fields. And Adam, at some point it's going to be the future, and everyone will be running some hydrogen biofuel electric something or other.
What I would really like to see is someone who takes a standard internal combustion engine platform and converts it to electric, putting a small, the smallest battery pack they can get away with for time attack, and maybe lightening that car up, but still having that electric power advantage.
And I think just in general, the engineering challenges of making batteries lighter, that's over the next decade or so, I think we're going to see massive leaps in those technologies.
Absolutely.
And as those weights come down, it's going to, again, reduce that. That's really one of the only downsides to electric car power at the moment, is just it adds so much weight. So once you get rid of that problem, you've got instant torque, you've got hopefully decent range, and the lightness will come later. And I think at that point it's going to be pretty hard to beat somebody in with an internal combustion.
Well, and I think the way the time attack format works and the way the rules are written, you could run a much smaller battery pack. You don't need to worry about the range.
Right.
As long as you can get a handful of laps in.
Yep. Checkered flag waving out the window here at Pikes Peak International Raceway for Group C here in time attack. Top of the order, Alex England in the number 303. That's the unlimited front-wheel drive car, the crazy TCR-looking Audi.
Yeah.
Quickest on the board. And overall, I think we saw some records fall, at least in the first session with Group A. Ferris Khartoumi, a 54 something or other.
Yes,
I think he ran
54.0. I think fastest overall lap record here for GRIDLIFE ever.
And I wonder what there's other time attack competitions here, but I have to bet that a 54 is probably pretty close to the Roval course record.
Well, I know 2 years ago, our first year, 3 years ago, whatever, our first year here, Jeremy Swenson set the street tire overall record ever here, and this has Optima runs here, so lots of street tire cars, fast cars that have been here before, and he set the overall, so.
All right, well, blue skies and clouds in the sky here at Alpine Horizon Festival for GRIDLIFE's first festival of the year. We've got Midwest later on this year, but this is the first one. A beautiful summer day here. Again, I'm Kyle Heyer alongside Adam Nielsen. You've just watched Time Attack. We've got more sessions coming up later today. We've got Drift coming up next, and we're going to step away for a few minutes. We'll be right back. Thanks for watching. GRIDLIFE Time Attack is brought to you by Falken Tire. Falken Tires, competition-proven performance. 303 Performance, premium protectants and cleaners, exceeding expectations since 1980. STA-BIL, ready, willing, STA-BIL. MOMO, the official safety partner of GRIDLIFE. And by HP Tuners. HP Tuners, connect, read, edit, write, drive. Alpine Horizon is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Airlift Performance. Airlift Performance lets you get low and live your life on air. Check out all their newest products, including Builder Series shocks, threaded manifolds, and Flow Air Ride tanks at airliftperformance.com.
FCP Euro is here to help you keep your car on the trails, track, or tarmac after a weekend of thrashing at GRIDLIFE Alpine Horizon Festival. So from now until Saturday, July 31st, we're giving the GRIDLIFE friends and fam 10% off their first order at FCPEuro.com using the code Alpine at checkout. Thank you all for watching this weekend, and we hope to see you at the track next time around.
The Falken Azenas RT660 is the enthusiast choice for ultra-high performance. Engineered for predictable handling and stability, the RT660 provides maximum traction both on and off the track. Your competitive edge has arrived with the Falken Azenas RT660.
What about a pizza delivery?
Oh, okay.
Trash truck plows through the delivery bikes. Formula D driver is waiting for his pizza. Says he'll deliver them in his Supra.
How about Fast Freddy's Pizza?
Love that.
Okay, let's go.
What's up? Welcome back to the Alpine Horizon Festival at Pikes Peak International Raceway. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Paco Ibarra for our first drift session of the weekend. Paco, welcome.
That's right, fine. Thank you. Thanks for having us, man.
I'm so excited for this. I haven't gotten able to announce drift since Alpine Horizon last year.
Last year. That was like the year we don't speak of.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to be back here. We've got Jared DeAnda coming a little bit later this weekend, so this will probably be the only time you'll see me here. There's Jared.
There you go. Oh, look at those moves, man.
Oh, man, he's so slick. He's got a handshake that makes me, I can't figure it out.
You get nervous? It's like a sweaty handshake?
Well, no, it's just like he does a cool bro handshake, and I can't figure it out.
You just have to follow. It's like a dance.
Yeah.
You know, he's the dancer. You're the girl.
Yeah.
So he's gonna lead you through the shake. Just let it happen.
I've tried it like 100 times. I don't think I've ever gotten it right. But we'll try again later this afternoon. We've got a field of almost 80 drift cars here this weekend. I'm glad you got a notebook.
I got a note. I'm just like gathering facts about the drivers. Make sure I don't get anything wrong. You know, I don't say somebody has an LS engine instead of a 2JZ. because then everybody's going to storm up here and going to try to beat us up. So.
Okay, well, they can beat you up. I'm going to run. They'll probably catch me, but
I'll stop them. You run.
Okay, great. That sounds like a plan. We got a whole bunch of people here this weekend for Alpine Horizon. This is one of the largest festivals that we've had, period. This is the first music and motorsports festival we've had since Road Atlanta back in 2019, so it's been a little while, and we've got the drift cars heading out. We're going to be drifting primarily on the infield road course portion, and it's going to be a busy place, to say the least.
I hope there's not a lot of drifting on the grass or the dirt, because we've seen that, and we don't want that. Please stay on the tarmac.
There is a 2021 GR Supra that Toyota has provided to us, and it is a gorgeous-looking car. Big thanks to Toyota for partnering with us on the live streams here this weekend and providing some awesome vehicles for us to utilize here at Pikes Peak International Raceway. We've got the Supras. There's a couple Siennas shuttling people around.
That's my favorite, the minivan.
The minivan, they're great. Man, they're cool.
They're such a nice minivan. Like,
for sure.
Yep.
I own a Scion FRS myself, so I was really excited to see them have a Toyota 86.
There's a new one, the new 86, yes.
Looks great. So, and they've got some Tacomas and 4Runners that are out on the off-road course here.
Yep. And then we have Larry Chan on his GR Supra camera chase car.
Man, I can't wait to see the content that comes out of that. Always spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so as we head into the infield section here, they're going to take probably a little pace lap here just to show them the route, because the next time they'll be heading down here, it'll be sideways at 70 miles an hour.
Hopefully more.
Hopefully more. I got to ride with Chris Forsberg last year.
Nice.
Awesome.
And
awesome.
you were in the back seat or on the his
I was
limo?
in the 370, so I was in the passenger seat. But
front row seat.
Yeah, we had lasers and smoke, and it was at night, and it was a visceral experience.
Which we're having tomorrow.
Yes, night shift drift.
Night shift drift. That's like 2 years ago when I was here last time. It was amazing. It was like watching the cars.
I told the guys to meme it up because I thought I was be by myself. I forgot you were coming, so they got all the memes on standby.
I'm already the meme.
Oh man, they got them all queued up. But we also have night shift tonight. We just won't be showing it. We'll be showing on a live stream tomorrow.
Got it.
Long days here for the stream team, so we'll let them sleep one night.
Awesome.
And then tomorrow we're going to kick things off at again at 11 a.m. Mountain Time for a GLTC time attack and drift again, and then we'll have night shift to finish off the evening right before the headliner Suicide Boy set tomorrow. So really excited to have the big music set here as well. The energy in the paddock is already electric. It's going to get even better.
That is the best part about GRIDLIFE. It's like it's a vibe. This event is basically, you know, everybody's just vibing on a different level. Everybody loves cars, loves music, and loves having fun. And I believe the Colorado, the Pikes Peak International Raceway is being one of the places where they welcome the party aspect and the happiness. And yeah, that's a hard body.
Oh man, they're pulling out the Torque and Kyle already. What is this?
It's a hard body Nissan with, I believe, has a 2J engine.
Man, we're going to see a whole lot of cool builds here. We've got guys like TJ Hunt here this weekend. I think Adam LZ is here as well. We've got a lot of well-known YouTube influencers.
Josh Robinson from Australia.
Wow, that's a long way.
Eurofighter, BMW. You have a large list of drift stars. And a lot of pro drivers as well. That's that right ahead, right there. That's a pro driver, licensed driver behind. You know, like it's Rudy Hansen's on the front. That's his pro car. Then we have Chris Jennered on the rear-wheel drive Honda Civic.
Okay, so that's a rear-wheel drive.
That's a rear-wheel drive converted Honda Civic, drift Honda Civic, which is pretty cool.
So just for your information,
yes.
I don't know a lot about drift. I'd like to know more about drift.
Well, let's learn something together.
Let's learn.
How about that?
That's great. One of the things that's different from GRIDLIFE's drift is that it's not competitive. This is really here for the spectators, for the drivers. So there's no competition, nothing to win. There's no clip points necessarily, at least not that are being scored on.
You're here to win the respect.
Win the respect, sure.
Yes.
But yep. I love this because it lets drivers get real creative.
Yeah.
Get to run a bunch of tandems. It's gonna be real.
Do like backwards entries. 360s. We've seen that like in previous events. Justin Pollack doing 360s into a corner. Like, you know, like drivers can get creative. They can it's like Jared Diana called it like the expression session.
I love that. The expression. The stream guys would call that a spirit journey.
The spirit journey. There you go.
I love that term. Chris uses that a lot. My boss here at GRIDLIFE. We're keeping an eye on the YouTube chat. So if you've got any questions for Paco or myself, leave those there. So we'll be reading the chat on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, head to youtube.com/GRIDLIFE to follow us along there as cars are rolling here, Paco.
That's right, yeah.
Into the infield.
There you go, Rudy Hansen and this pro drift car. This is a pro spec drift car. and he's gonna be the first official send. While we saw Adam Jabay send the car on screen.
Man, Adam shows up in a bunch of those memes here on screen. But kind of Mangine down the straightaway here, off into what is the Roval Turn 4, but we're going to confine the drifting, at least right now, to the infield section. So they'll do a couple skiddy boys and head back on the oval and loop back around.
Skiddy boys,
yeah.
That's right. There you go. Is that what you guys, what you Greek guys call those drifters?
That's what I call it, because I don't know any better. But
oh, that's good. Skiddy boys. That's like sounds like a band that's going to play tonight.
Question from Scott Hollingsworth. Did Trevor from Motion Auto TV make it out?
I don't know.
I have a list.
You have a list of drivers?
I should.
So I know we have George Kyriakopoulos right there. Look at those gold wheels on his 370Z.
So pretty.
Looking like all that gold chrome liver in his car. And I love purple, by the way. That car looks very good. Let's see who else is coming. Oh, that is Michael Essa. That's his pro car as well.
Yep. From FCP Euro.
He's FCP, one of the sponsors of the event. Is that correct?
Yep. FCP Euro, a big partner with GRIDLIFE. Glad to have him out here. They got their whole team out here this week. They got Essa with the drift car.
Yeah, he's a one-time Formula Drift champion, Michael Essa.
Yeah.
That same car, yeah.
Yep.
Dustin Miles in his S13 hatchback. That's one of his party cars. He's also a Formula Drift pro driver. Good old Dustin Miles.
Question from Coin Flip. Does the final video get uploaded at the end? Yes, this live stream will be right at the conclusion of it. You'll get to watch it back.
I believe that's Adam LZ driving his E36 BMW. Right. He brought his pro car as well. I don't know if he's going to be driving it at the track, but so we have all kinds of big names.
Oh, what is this?
That is Jay Caldwell's 1951 Chevy sedan.
I love that. That's amazing.
Look at that.
It's like the Hudson Hornet.
It basically, yeah. The secret is that is actually an LS400 platform with a V8, turbocharged, radiator in the back, full coilover, just with a body of a 51 Chevy.
That is so cool. That's got to be one of the most unique cars out here, other than the truck. That's
one of my favorite ones. Jay Cowell has been drifting this car for a long time already. It just keeps, every time I see him, it's like a new upgrade. Now he's got a bigger turbo. Now he's got tire coolers. He's got little sprayers into the rear tires to keep them cool and make them last longer.
It's like drifting an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, that's right.
So cool. I can smell the rubber coming in through the windows already. It's a great vibe out here already.
And look, we have it right here, the drone shot showing us JR and Austin Mata. Austin Mata is also a pro driver. He's I think he's like sitting second or third on points on Formula Drift Prospect right now.
Woof.
There you go. All that smoke.
Yeah, the fans love this because it's just such a spectacular thing to watch. It's even I got to ride with Forsberg last year. It's so visceral to sit in these things.
Yeah.
Just changing direction, you get slammed back and forth.
It's a roller coaster.
Totally is a roller coaster.
Yeah. They go Fielding Shredder. We saw him on that Netflix show, Hyperdrive.
Gotcha.
He was one of the guys who did it pretty good on Hyperdrive. And there you go. Ryan Turk on the Corolla, Papadakis Corolla. Like, is that rear-wheel drive converted Toyota Corolla, chased by Larry Chen?
Oh man, we've seen
Supra.
We've seen this Corolla out a couple times at GRIDLIFE, and there's some amazing shots from Larry Chen last year. Very similar to this, where he's chasing him. Awesome
They
shots.
party. They know how to send it. You know, they get close to everybody. Like, great shots. These boys love partying.
There's TJ Hunt out here as well.
Yeah.
I have followed TJ Hunt on YouTube pretty much since his BRZ was still white, way back in the day. And I followed TJ a lot. He came out to Willow Springs earlier this year, got to meet him and talk to him a little bit. Glad to have TJ back with us in the 350Z, going for a ride. Got a great looking Valvoline livery on it as well. So we'll see more TJ later.
He's on the same pits with Chris Forsberg. Basically, he has like a whole corner of NOS energy drink sponsor vehicles. That's Josh Robinson on his E92 BMW Eurofighter, all carbon Kevlar body.
Man,
isn't that nice?
That's pretty cool.
We also have an Audi A4. Austin Phipps from Arizona has a rear-wheel drive Audi A4 drift car.
There's Chris Forsberg in the Ultimaniac.
Ultimaniac, another rear-wheel drive conversion, and he's been led by Alex Jaeger, his teammate in Formula Drift Prospect, piloting the La Flama Negra drift car. There you go. Look at Chris flexing.
Oh, man. Look at all the Falken boys out here again as well. I love the liveries.
The big
on these
stars,
cars.
man.
Oh, yeah.
Have Dai Yoshihara in front with the S15. followed by Matt Field on his party Corvette, and Justin Pollock, JTP, on his, that was one of his all FD cars. The Dice is like a very old, faithful drift car from back in the day when he was like driving that car in Formula Drift. And that car's still going, and it still parties, and these guys are wild boys.
Real cool. I remember watching the Corvette out the passenger window in Forsberg's car last year.
Yeah.
Such a cool experience. If you ever get a chance to ride in a drift car, your best shot is at a GRIDLIFE event. Whether it's a party car or a pro car, the experience is incredibly visceral and awesome. And look at the great shots we got from Shepsta FPV up on top of the roof just above us. He's flying the FPV drone around and getting some amazing shots in all the chaos and smoke. Got to be pretty hard to fly a drone in all this.
I mean, they have to get actual pilot licenses to fly these drones, so they actually have to know what they're doing.
Oh yeah.
At the end of the day, there you go. George Kirakopoulos spins, but these boys are professionals. They know how to go around. It's all good. Nothing happened.
They'll figure it out.
Yep.
Always do.
And now we have Ryan Turk going on the bank, going for a fast lap.
Kind of the banking is sort of the reset mode. You get kind of chill for a second, cool everything back down before you go around for another lap in the infield.
That's right. And then we have that one. It was. Let me look at my notes real quick.
You got more notes than I do.
I do, yeah.
I've got a dictionary size package of notes for GLTC, but not a lot for drift.
You have like a lot of like particular lingo for grip racing.
No, it's all kind of the same that you'd find on watching NASCAR or IndyCar, but drift is its own. It's so unique in the way that you drive.
Yeah.
Mangeeing and reverse entry, and the terminologies are totally different.
Yeah, we have spinneroos, we have backy backs. We have like the I don't even think they call them tires. They call them like rubbery thingies.
I like that.
Yep. There you go, Jake Caldwell on this 51 Chevy, followed by Fielding Shredder. Let's see if we can put some sick tandems right there.
That is not a sight you're going to see in a lot of places. That's for sure. Whoa.
A Nissan tandeming with a 51 Chevy.
Working the infield again. And again, with the field size that we have here this weekend, the drift skid pad is always going to be a busy place. And also, the rubber that they're laying down is going to be real interesting for the next grip cars that go out. All the marbles and the rubber getting laid down. It's going to create a really interesting surface.
It's like a path of grip, no grip, grip, no grip.
Yeah, it's going to be real. I mean, it always kind of throws the grip guys for a loop when they come back out here and there's rubber everywhere. But that's part of the experience of GRIDLIFE is bringing all the different motorsports together, whether it's drift, whether it's time attack, DE, wheel-to-wheel racing with GLTC, and to give context for the speeds and the skills that the drift drivers have or the grip drivers have. When a grip driver sees a drift car going through the same corner they just did sideways, they gather real appreciation for the art and skill that's involved in this, and that's not something that you see in a lot of drift events, is drifting at places where you race.
And they're taking a completely different line. And they're like, why are they going on that line? And then like it grips and comes back in, and they do all kinds of fun stuff. And that's what I like about this kind of GRIDLIFE drift events. There's no rules. You can go wherever. There's no points. You can go wide, you can go in, you can go swap positions.
Falken boys at it again.
Yep. Trying to get tight on that pack. Look at that shot.
I've always thought, in your opinion, is it the hardest to be the trail in that train, or do you think it's the hardest to lead it?
Well, when you're leading, you're just doing your thing. The guys behind you, they better mimic what you're doing. So I think that the best position to be is in the lead, but the safest is in the very back. Because if for whatever reason, something happens, you can always pull out of the way. If you're in the front, it's a lot easier to get out of the way.
That Ultimaniac makes north of 1,400 horsepower. And
GTR engine, twin turbo.
It's got passenger seats in the back.
Yep.
And there's also a dashboard back there, so the rear seat passengers can see how insanely fast they're going, which I think is really
That's
cool.
awesome. Like, you are now going at 120 miles per hour sideways.
I mean, especially for people that have never been in a car at speed ever, that's a heck of a way to get your feet wet, that's for sure.
Yep. And I have his name right here.
We'll get them all. There's so many that
so many. But yeah, I was walking the pits earlier and just like taking names, making sure I get everybody's information correct.
Well,
Yeah,
there's a couple tandems going on. Is that TJ in the middle of all that?
No, that is.
Oh, no, it's not.
That's a 350. TJ has a 370.
TJ says a 350, just doesn't have a wing on the back. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, then thanks for correcting me.
Sure. Yeah, it's a 350. He's had that car for a long time. I think this is the second time that he's had it out to a GRIDLIFE event. Came out to Willow Springs earlier with it. Did some drifts up on the tracks out there, but this is his first time at a GRIDLIFE festival.
Got it.
And really excited. Again, I mentioned I'm a TJ Hunt fan, so I hope to find him in the paddock a little later and say hi. But
we'll say hi, give him a high five.
Yeah, Dustin Williams too. He's running Time Attack this weekend, so they're buddies that have worked together in the past.
So there's a lost Falcon boy.
a lone Falcon boy.
Lone Matt Field and his Corvette.
Needs to find a Falcon friend.
Yeah, there you go. And he's got a JR on tow. One of the team scoundrels.
Also interesting, you can see the cones at the exit of the corner. They moved them out a couple feet. They're filling every foot of extra track space they
like,
they
you're giving me more room? I'll use it. Yep.
All the way up to the concrete Jersey barrier. And again, as a spectator here, I mean, what an incredible weekend between the music and the drifting and the racing.
And it's just starting.
It's just starting. This is day one of the weekend.
Yep. First drift session of the day.
Someone was asking who's in the Acura TL. Is there a TL out there?
In drifting?
Yeah. I mean,
so.
Someone says that there is. I am going to check. I don't have a ton of details on who's out there in what car. I don't see on my list anybody in a TL. But maybe we'll get a better look at it here shortly.
Maybe it was a Supra, or maybe it was something else that kind of like looked at some sort of fastback.
If someone's drifting a TL, they get my vote.
I mean, absolutely. I like different cars. Like I know you guys had an Oldsmobile.
Yeah, the Cutlass.
Oh, man. Grip. I saw that thing immediately. It's like, oh, please, I hope this car is drifting too.
He was driving the hell out of it too. He was hanging the rear end out in the infield and going hard. And Cody Smith, he's made that car super fast.
Yeah, you don't see those cars at a racetrack.
Why would you? It's not a race car.
But that's my point. I like cars that are not race cars that are turned into race cars. Oh, there you go. You have Jeff Bezos going up to the Alpine Horizon rocket.
It doesn't have to go very far. We're already up 5,000 feet.
There you go. Jeff Ebel, $1 million.
All right. Hey, we're 20 minutes in. Is that the end of the session? That might be.
Might be the end of the first session.
Wow. 15, 20 minutes in. I think that's it.
So Jared does not approve. Look at his face.
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
he's disappointed. We needed more, huh? Well, I have good news for all you that are here for the drifting. We've got more coming up today. The Friday schedule for the rest of the day, we've got Time Attack again at 3:10 Mountain Time. That's 5:10 Eastern. Then GRIDLIFE Touring Cup race number 1. Be myself and Tom O'Gorman back for that at 6:20 Eastern, 4:20 Mountain. Then drift again at 4:50 Mountain Time. That is just about 3.5 hours from now. 3 hours 45 minutes or so. Then later tonight, GLTC Race 2 at 6:10, then followed by Drift at 6:40. That will wrap up our day of streaming here from Fountain, Colorado. But Paco, thanks so much for joining me. Great session. It went by so fast because there was so much happening out there. I mean, that.
Drifting goes fast because they are just going one after another, and like they have to go change tires, they have to go check their cars for the next session. But it's fun to watch, for sure.
It really is. We've got a lot more to cover later today, so make sure that you join us again for GRIDLIFE Live. Again, I'm Kyle Heyer with Paco Abada. We'll see you later today for session number 2 for Drift. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Kyle.
No.
Mr. Walkway. Mr. Walk Down Me, I'm the walkway. Lead me to the building. Who's this guy? Mr. Balloons. Mr. Balloon Hands.
Salt.
GRIDLIFE Drift is brought to you by FCP Euro. Every part you buy is guaranteed for life. And by Falken Tire. Falken Tires, competition-proven performance. MOMO, the official safety partner of GRIDLIFE. BC Racing, the official suspension of GRIDLIFE Drift. Highly engineered custom coilovers that put you in control of every driving condition. Alpine Horizon is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Airlift Performance. Airlift Performance lets you get low and live your life on air. Check out all their newest products, including Builder Series shocks, threaded manifolds, and flow air ride tanks at airliftperformance.com.